Power Play Post Show is on the air, covering minor league hockey since 2003, and now covering the Binghamton Black Bears with news, reactions, and in-depth interviews only heard here. And now, from the Box Studios in Kirkwood, New York, here are your hosts of the Power Play Post Show, Bob Howard and Taylor Welch.
And hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Power Play Post Show. This is the show for January 15th, 2026. This is season 15 and episode number 37 and episode number 551 in the long-running podcast that is the Power Play Post Show. Hello, everyone. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And boy, do we have a lot to talk about. Even though our outline looks small to us, I think it's still going to drive a lot of conversation. And we have, I think, a great guest. I think this is a guest that people have been waiting for a while. And I have to say, Taylor, I want to say, when I first got on the phone with Dominik Tmej, he said, you know, I've been waiting for this phone call. So that tells you a lot right there, that Dominik was waiting for him to be asked to come on the show.
That's pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. It's always interesting to me to hear that the players listen to the show and that they're like, you know, they're waiting for their chance to kind of, I don't know, whether to tell their story or be put on the spotlight, whatever you want to word it as. But it's pretty funny to know that they're kind of like waiting for their chance to come on the show.
So can I tell a little story, Taylor? Can this be story time with Bob for a second?
Sure. I love story time. Great.
So you already kind of know a little bit about this story. I kind of just told you just a few minutes ago before we started talking here. I know that this week's guest is kind of ironic and maybe kind of peculiar, being that we're going to, you know, our main news topic is going to be talking about Connor McAnanama and him, you know, heading to the SPHL to play with the Peoria Rivermen. I do want to say that on Mondays, I usually send an email or a text or something to Brooks asking for a player interview. Sometimes based on the schedule of the team, sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes it does, but usually I send the email on Monday. And I felt like, okay, it's the new year. It's time to get Dominik on the show, right? He's had a great start to the season. He's 13-1-0. And I just felt like it was time. So at about 350, 351, 352, something like that, I send my email off to Brooks, right? And I don't even think about it after that. I was like, Brooks is not going to get back to me until Tuesday anyways. That's just the way it is. I could record on Monday evenings, but the players usually don't practice on Mondays. I'm sending it to him late enough in the day. It's going to be a tomorrow thing. And about an hour later, I find out about Connor leaving the team. And, you know, of course, that's, you know, drummed up a lot of things to think about and to talk about and whatnot. You and I didn't talk about it until the next day. And then about 3:30 the next day, I checked my emails and said, oh, you know what? I better check my email to see if whoever I asked for the interview, and I forgot that I was asking for Dominik. I send a message back out to Brooks and say, hey, do you think this is going to be possible? Because I realize it's a weird situation, asking for Dominik. And, you know, the next day it comes out that, you know, Connor has left the team to go play in the SPHL. And he responds back and says, yeah. Dom can record Tuesday night or Wednesday before the Booster Club meeting. And I was like, okay. So I reached out to Dom. We set up a time and we recorded. And I got to be honest with you folks, it is absolutely coincidental that the week that Connor does leave and head to the SPHL, that I ask for Dominik Tmej and I get him on the show. But I'm telling you right now, you are going to love this interview. And I did not do this purposefully. This is not a knock on the McAnanamas or Connor or anybody or the Black Bears. This was the week I wanted to talk to Dominik, and we made it happen.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how, you know, things have a weird way of working out that way. But on the plus side, the fans get to hear us talk about two goaltenders in one show.
Oh, God, yeah, that's true. That is very, very true. And here's the other thing. I think you are finally going to get your wish, Taylor. Wyatt Freelander's now going to play.
It was bound to happen. I mean,
Wyatt's going to get a game. I mean, he might even get a game this weekend. We don't know. Brant Sherwood has not always played two goaltenders back to back that often. Even when Connor and Eggy was here and Sam, there was a lot of moving around of the goaltenders, and I'm sure Connor did it more than everybody else, but it didn't happen that often. So to have Dominik play last two games in Carolina, and then come and play these two games against Watertown, I'm pretty sure that Wyatt will probably get a game. So we'll probably see, Wyatt again here soon, and, good for him. It's time for him to step up, right? That's the motto of the team, right? Next man up. So it'll be a good thing for them.
Yeah, and quite frankly, I'd love to see him get another win. He's got two there already, so let's keep him going. Let's keep him on a roll.
And there's another thing I want to talk about, and it's the Dan Weber situation from the Saturday game with Jacob Schnapp. Okay, so I wrote in my day after game report, which I know is read by a league official, somebody within the league does read, and I think listens to some of our content, which is absolutely okay. It's there for everybody to either read or to listen to. And I was told that after reading what I wrote and reviewing the play themselves, they 100% agreed with me that Dave Jackson, who is in charge of player safety, totally agreed with me that the penalties to Dan Weber were not correct, should not have been assessed that way. Now, there was no conversation with me whether or not they felt that Jacob Schnapp should have had a different penalty than what he did, because he just had the 5-minute penalties for fighting, or anything to do with CJ Stubbs, because I didn't really talk about CJ Stubbs that much. A little bit in the beginning of my article. This was well before I saw any video of what CJ had done after his high sticking call. We knew that there was confrontation between him and Corey Cunningham, but until we saw another video, we didn't see that. I can't always write about things I don't see, and I do write that the next day, and I didn't see that video until later on, I think. Actually, it was probably after we recorded the last episode of the Power Play Post Show. But it just made me feel like the last 35 years of watching hockey and paying attention to it and understanding the rules like I do, that I wasn't wrong. And it kind of like, I'm patting myself on the back a little bit, but it was good confirmation to know that the league reviewed it and they saw it the way I saw it. Because I think that's important, because, Dan Weber was probably a little bit of a victim and then turned into a fighter because of it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that agree with you on that. And, to have people of, various fan bases or, league officials kind of paying attention to what's happening here, whether they're fully invested or they just catch snippets here or there. I do think it's important. Even the people that have commented on stuff that we've had, like a little bit of back and forth.
Yeah.
You and I both have no issues, going back and forth with somebody. It's not a problem for somebody to come up and say something about how they felt, like there was a lot of stuff that happened with the CJ Stubbs thing, but you and I didn't see any other video. I had actually sent it to you because it came up to me.
Yep.
I was scrolling through and it had popped up. So I had actually sent it to you, and, you and I had a better understanding, and you and I both agreed that it was a reckless thing to do. It happens, it's a domino effect of something that happened on the ice. Something happened, didn't get taken care of, reckless thing happened because of it.
Yeah.
I feel the Weber and Schnapp situation was kind of the same thing. Schnapp did something reckless. Weber got the tail end of it. So I think it was an unfortunate thing that happened. I think the refs made the wrong calls at the end, but at the same time, there's 8 things happening on the ice all at once.
And they have to keep track of that. And one of the things you have to think about, when we talk about the Dan Weber, Jacob Schnapp, they didn't have to just pay attention to those two. They also had to pay attention to what was going on with Zach White and Mac Jansen. Mac Jansen takes Zach White down, maybe in a way that was a little rough, and they called the roughing call for it. But then who jumps in? Roman Kramer, kind of like, wraps them up and wrestles them off. And so they have a lot to look at. And, it's not always easy. It's not always easy, and referees are going to miss things. My problem with what happened with Jacob Schnapp and Dan Weber is that I don't understand how a referee can look at that and consciously say that was instigator for Weber and an aggressor for Weber as well. That part is what I don't understand. And that's the part where maybe that referee needs to be trained more, maybe needs to have a review of that play and say, this is not in the NHL rulebook. This is not how you would call this if you were in the NHL refereeing a game. That's my point. The CJ Stubbs thing, again, we didn't see it until 2 days afterwards. I'll be honest with you, fans. I don't go to every other fan page in this league and read every single comment. I already spend 30 hours a week above and beyond what I do for my own daytime job, doing this show, putting together the articles, talking with Taylor to make sure we're on a game plan or we have a vision or that we're doing things. I'm putting stuff together for YouTube. I don't have time to go to fan pages. Now, she does a little bit more than I do, right? Would you not agree? You're probably on a couple of them a little bit more than I am, right?
Weirdly enough, I'm only in Watertown's actual fan page.
Oh, really?
I'm not like actually joined in other fan pages, but they keep popping up. Like I'm just like scrolling along, and all of a sudden it's there.
Yeah,
and I'll just I'm starting to see stuff. So that's how the CJ Stubbs things happen.
Yeah,
was I was just scrolling. I saw I wasn't paying attention to the video happening at the moment, but I had seen like the first 2 comments or whatever, and it was about what was happening in the video. So I stopped and watched the video, and I was like, oh, that was this game.
Yeah, and
I was like, that's what we didn't see on the live, on YouTube because the camera pans away.
And I will say this, just to be transparent, if you feel that they didn't call the right play on CJ Stubbs, okay, I can see you saying that. Now, do I think it was an intent to injure? Absolutely not. There's no way that you can prove intent to injure. Realistically, it is a judgment call by a referee. The referee in this case said roughing. Now, at the same time, the referees screwed up the Jacob Schnapp and the Dan Weber situation. So maybe they screwed up the CJ Stubbs thing. I'm just being transparent. That's a possibility. But unfortunately, it took 48 hours for me to see that. And so me conversing about it and talking about it and going, I don't know what you're talking about when it came to CJ Stubbs. He threw the guy down. He got a roughing. Well, what's the big deal? And then you see the video and you go, oh, okay. Yeah, I can see where you have a problem with that. Now, the funny part about this, Taylor, is we're talking about this at the end of the second game of a team that literally has now lost 10 games against the Binghamton Black Bears, right? And I can understand their frustration. I can understand the fans' frustration. I can understand the Thunderbirds' frustration. They could have sent that in for review to have CJ Stubbs suspended. We haven't seen any suspensions to CJ Stubbs. The Black Bears could have easily sent in for review, which I'm sure that the league has already reviewed the play when it came to Dan Weber and Jacob Schnapp, and to try to get him suspended. Did they? They didn't. Why? Because there's a difference between Binghamton and Carolina, or Binghamton and Twin City, than Binghamton and what they went through with Danbury 3 years ago. What they went through with Watertown a couple years ago, where every single play was either dirty or ridiculous, and they were trying to goad each other into doing really stupid stuff. And generally, it was the teams that couldn't keep up with Binghamton, or Binghamton was trying to play hockey, and Daniel Amesbury was out there doing whatever he was doing. So I think it's a little bit of a surprise to me, and I don't think there's any really big hard feelings between the two teams because there really hasn't been that kind of rivalry. They've played hockey against each other, and that's really where it goes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, ironically, the fan bases have been going on about this since it happened. And I'm like, I'm sure both teams, all the players
moved on,
immediately left it on the ice when the game was over and went home. Like, I don't think they thought about it twice, to be honest. They probably, heat of the moment, something happens, they skated back to their locker room. It's done. It's over.
And what
you move on to the next game.
And what fans have to remember is, Taylor, that the game is so fast. It's so fast. The adrenaline running through these guys in the game is going 90 miles an hour. And I'm not trying to stick up for CJ, and I'm not trying to stick up for Jacob Schnapp for what he did. I think both plays were kind of dangerous in their own realm. There's cause effect though. If referees cannot control the game, they didn't call the high stick on CJ Stubbs. He went and he did something kind of idiotic. One of the things that I noticed in the Jacob Schnapp, Dan Weber thing wasn't it interesting that once the guys were on the ground, there wasn't two referees or a linesman and a referee or two linesmen pulling them apart? They literally let these guys stand back up and start fighting again. That's not normal. That's not how the referees and the linesmen are taught to do that. That is not the way it should be done. So we can go through and we can criticize that, but it's cause and effect. The cause created the effect. And in this case, the referees could have done a better job, probably in both places. And again, I don't want to lay blame on just the referees. The players do make a conscious decision. It's a fast and quick one, but it happens. I want to touch upon one more thing, Taylor, and I want to get your opinion on this. Do you think that referees always call every single minor that they see? Do you think that every single hooking, every single tripping, even though tripping is probably a little bit more obvious, maybe every single slashing, because I see a lot of slashes that aren't called, and I'm like, oh, that should have been called. Do you think that in some ways, if a referee saw a Monroe Moccasins game, right? They're on a 14-game winning streak. They're one of the best teams in the league, as we all know. If anyone's following the league, they know that Monroe is really good. They're fast, they're speedy guys. When they play against a team like Biloxi or Baton Rouge, who aren't playing that good, do you think there are a lot of penalties that could be called on Baton Rouge and Biloxi that aren't? Because if they did, there would be 20 minors on those two teams and 20 power plays for Monroe, and the game would almost be unbearable to play and to watch. So almost either it's subconsciously or consciously, they hold back how much they call because they probably could call more. It's like in football, they say there's holding on every single play, but they don't always call it. Your thoughts on this? Because I know there's a lot of talk, well, the referees are bad, the referees are bad. Well, maybe the referees are almost managing the game to a point where it almost makes it bearable to watch.
Yeah, I definitely don't think they call every minor they see. And, sometimes there's blatant ones they miss. And, I think that's when the fans kind of get in an uproar, is when, something happens right in front of them and they don't do anything about it. Other times, there's more sneaky ways of kind of getting away with it, I guess you could word it.
Sure.
But if they were to call every single thing they saw, there would be a stoppage every 2 seconds, and the games would take 10 hours to complete, and nobody wants that. Yeah. It would be like, me being upset because we played Port Huron, and it seemed like there was a stoppage every 10 seconds. And they don't even call every penalty in those types of games. No. And even the high penalty games where there's 30, 40 penalties, they're still not calling everything. So yeah. to want them to get every single thing that happens is just unrealistic. There's always going to be things that are missed. Yeah. And sometimes, it is super upsetting, especially when it happens right in front of them. You're like, how did you miss that kind of thing? Right. That's going to happen. It's going to, it's almost like, when you want your team to fight, there's usually a time and a place for it. Yeah. And there are certain penalties that you have to call. And then there's other times where you're like, the referees look at the players and you're like, just keep playing, like, go.
Here's the thing I would love, and I'm serious about this. I hate certain aspects of artificial intelligence and AI. I would love for a team to put about 7 or 8 cameras around an ice rink right on the top of the boards that can see every single aspect of every single play. Have a professional game go out there. I don't care what level it's at, right? And do what they're doing in baseball right now, which is they put up the little box for balls and strikes, right? And you can see whether or not the ump called it right or didn't call it right. I would love somebody to write a program in AI that would analyze every single movement in a 60-minute game in hockey, and then and be programmed with the NHL rulebook of what is a penalty, minor, all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, I would love to see the disparagingness, or how different it would be from what the referees as a human called versus what AI would have called for penalties. Because people, and I don't complain about penalties that often. We're having a long conversation here because I know there's a lot of talk behind the scenes in the FPHL about the referees. There have been 2 ownership groups that have come out and apologized for complaining about the referees. The fans do nothing but talk about it. Oh, they're paid off. They're this, they're that, they're the other. I would love for AI to track one game and then come back to us and say, oh, nope, the referees got it 100% correct, or they could have called 20 more penalties. And I guarantee you it'll be closer to they could have called more penalties than being correct. And not to put the onus that is totally bad on the referees, but the point is managing the game to make sure that the flow of the game is enjoyable for the players and for the fans. Sometimes I think that's part of what referees' jobs are.
I think if you were going to do that, then you'd have to have like 2 very different things happen. You'd have to have like Port Huron versus Blue Ridge, 2 teams that usually have pretty good penalties in a game, and then like Binghamton and Carolina, who don't have a lot of penalties, and kind of compare that way.
Sure. Or
that would be very interesting.
Or you have one of the best teams in the league, like the Black Bears, play one of the teams that doesn't play well, and do the teams that don't play well or don't have a good record right now, do they get behind on the play? Does the defender get behind the attacker and have to hook him? And a lot of times when it's not called, right? If it's not called, that would be a strike against the referees in this scenario. And we're not attacking referees. My point is this. If you complain about the referees in the games because you think that they ultimately change the outcome of the game, let me tell you right now, if they called every single penalty, you would hate the game even more. That's the honest truth. And that's the thing that people don't want to hear. And I just wanted to bring that up and talk about that.
Well, and to be completely frank, you're not winning games off power play goals or shorthanded goals. They're helpful, don't get me wrong.
You win more games on 5-on-5.
Win.
Yeah, even strength is where you score the majority of your goals. I don't care what team you are. The Black Bears are only scoring on the power play 27%, 28%. I don't know what I put into the outline later on, but so they're scoring only 28% of the time. And if you factor in how many goals they score versus how many goals they have now, it's still 70% of the goals are scored on 5-on-5. The impact is not as great as people think it is because the referees made a call or don't make a call. It's the inconsistencies of the safety of the game, of calls that have to do with safety. That is where people should really have a problem with it, right? When a player, has something happen to them and then they don't call the penalty correct, or they should have called this, or they should have called that, or they overreach like they did with Dan Weber, that's the type of thing you should be upset with. But if they miss a hooking call, big deal. The play kept going. Did somebody score immediately afterwards on that? All right, maybe you have a thing to talk about. But if you're so worried about that one hooking call in a game, you got bigger problems. Whew. Okay. I think it's time to get to the meat of the matter. I'll do the must-reads first. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Just search Power Play Post Show on your favorite app, and don't forget to subscribe. Join the conversation on Facebook. Search Power Play Post Show and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey? Visit binghamtonhockey.net, your go-to source for stats, history, and all things Binghamton Hockey. And coming up on this episode of the Power Play Post Show from the Binghamton Black Bears, it is netminder Dominik Tmej. I know a lot of people are excited about hearing that. interview, and maybe in part because of the news that we're going to talk about here, which is Connor McAnanama leaves the Black Bears for the SPHL. Late on Monday during the afternoon, the Power Play Post Show was made aware that Connor McAnanama had decided to leave the Binghamton Black Bears and go play in the SPHL. We now know that he has signed with the Peoria Rivermen. The Rivermen are the number one team in the SPHL. So he goes from a number one team in the FPHL to the number one team in the SPHL. And they have a record of 21-8-1 with 43 points. Now, I was told his decision was to go and was hard and complicated, but revolved around hoping he would eventually be noticed by an ECHL team. From speaking to Connor in the past many times, he stated that he loves Binghamton, the organization, the fans. However, looking out for his future, Connor needed to try to play somewhere else and making the jump to see if he can get to the ECHL. Connor leaves the Black Bears as the franchise leader in almost every single category for goaltenders. Actually, he does. He has 61 wins, 8 losses, 5 overtime losses, a 2.27 goals against average, and a .917 save percentage. In the playoffs, he has 14 wins, only 1 loss in 15 games played, a 1.65 goals against average, and a .947 save percentage. He is a 2-time Commissioner's Cup champion and the reigning playoffs MVP. Taylor, this was, what was funny is I want to reflect on something that you said to me. You said you were surprised, but not necessarily surprised. You were kind of expecting Connor in his 3rd season to get a look-see or go somewhere or do something different than be here in Binghamton. Can you explain that a little bit for us?
I'm not the only person. I know we've seen comments, I think, even from the first season that, McAnanama was here, that he's such a good goalie that they did not expect him to last long in Binghamton because of how well he plays.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's been here for 2.5 seasons and he, hasn't gotten the look that he wanted, you definitely can't blame him for trying to go somewhere else. And, you leave one number one team to go to another number one team. You can't be upset about that at all. And to, you and I kind of talked about this off air a little bit, as the league, the FPHL looks at the SP as equals, but everybody else,
including
literally
players.
Everybody else doesn't look at the FPHL and the SPHL as equal, and that if you play in the SP, you have a higher chance of being seen by the ECHL, and that's how these players have to look at that. Yeah. If everybody else, if the ECHL, the AHL, the NHL is all looking at it that the SP is above the FPHL, then these players are trying to get there because, they want to get to the ECHL or even higher.
Yeah.
If they can get there. So to make that step, to do what he has to do, I don't think there is a single person out here that blames him for doing whatever he's got to do to make that happen. Everybody's upset by losing him, of course,
yes.
But I also think that the amount of support that he has is absolutely undeniable.
Yeah,
and for him to take this decision, it was very hard. And I heard that he said if we didn't have Tmej, that he wouldn't have left.
Right. Yeah.
So that tells you right there that he has such a faith and, believes in Tmej so much that he's going to be able to take Binghamton to where they need to go, that he felt comfortable leaving to try to chase his dreams.
Yeah.
And I think that says something huge.
It really does. And I understand where he's coming from. He felt like he wasn't being noticed here in Binghamton by anybody else, and specifically in the ECHL. And listen, there's no tougher position in sports than a goaltender in hockey, a pitcher in baseball, and more than likely a quarterback in football. These 3 positions are one of the toughest because not only is it a physical game, it is a huge mental game. And for goaltenders, the mental game is even more extreme than any other position on the ice, without a doubt. In some cases, a player can rely on his physical skill to make himself look good. goaltenders need their physical skill, but man, it is a mental game when they're getting pounded by pucks over and over and over and over again. But then you have to sit back afterwards and think about everything that you did right and you did wrong in that net that either allowed in a goal or did not allow in a goal. And then you got to think, what am I not doing to get myself to the next level? That's hard. And you cannot judge. You cannot understand unless you were a goaltender or played in any level of professional hockey to understand what any goaltender goes through. I certainly don't, and I've tried to. I've talked to many goaltenders professionally that played in the AHL, that played in the NHL, and I still don't understand the majority of them. And I don't mean that in a negative way. They are a very complicated being. But let's get to the positives of this. He was a big part of winning 2 championships. He was a MVP last year, deservingly so. His numbers were so sick in the playoffs. He had 4 shutouts in the playoffs last year. I only got nothing but gratitude for Connor McAnanama. Taylor, I don't know about you, but man, it's like these past 2 years maybe didn't turn out the way they did without him being a part of this team, because it was a team effort. But man, having him part of this team was phenomenal to help win 2 championships.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody would disagree with that. And the 14 wins and 1 loss, that I don't think I could name anybody else that's even come close to that as far as this league. And it's jumping back on the goalies and the mindset and everything. It's also so much harder for goalies to move up or go anywhere because you only get 1 spot on the team.
Yeah, well, there's only 1 player that plays on the team. There's 2 that dress, but you're 100% right. There is less areas for them to go to get moved up.
Less opportunities.
Less opportunities, yes. It's tough. That's hard. I mean, it's easier for a Tyson Kirkby to get a spot in ECHL than Connor McAnanama. But would you not consider them equals when it comes onto the ice and the impact and what they've done for this team the last 3 years?
Oh, definitely. I mean,
yeah.
Without either one of them, what is Binghamton, honestly?
Right. That's my point. And I'm not just pointing out, listen, of course, we know it's a team sport, and the Binghamton Black Bears as a team have been the best, right? But if Connor has been the best, and we've all talked about this, and even fans from other teams have said, he shouldn't be playing in this league. He shouldn't be here, right? Well, if he sees that, which I don't think he does. He's not on Facebook. He's not seeing that kind of stuff. But he knows it. He feels it. It's in his soul. Like, I should be able to play somewhere else. I thought he was going to be in an ECHL camp this year. I really did. And it didn't happen. And so I can understand, the mindset of, let me change it up a little bit. Let me go somewhere else and see if I can get noticed. And I get that. I understand that. I do understand that.
Well, and for, the fans, they have so much love for the players that even the ones that leave, that once a Bear, always a Bear mindset continues on. Boylard, he's moving on to a different ECHL team.
Yeah.
They still have love for Caden Henry.
Yep.
Just everybody who has moved on from the Black Bears to either play in a different FPHL team or in the East, the SP or the ECHL, wherever they have gone. There are still fans that are keeping track of them. There are still fans that talk about them all the time or, wish them well. So the fan appreciation and the fan love that they have for these players, I think it's unmatched compared to anybody else. I really do.
I mean, we got 47 comments on that post that I did for Connor, and I don't think one of them is negative. Everybody is, wishing him well and thinking the best for him and hoping that he makes it to the level that he wants to be at. All right. I think we're good. Are we good? Did we? Oh, let's talk about the future for the Black Bears, right? So now what remains is you have Dominik Tmej, who's 13-1-0, and you have Wyatt Freelander, who's 2-0-0. Both of these guys have 15 wins of the Black Bears' 27 wins. Yeah, 27 wins. So I think we are in good hands. I think we're going to be absolutely 100% okay. And the Black Bears will keep doing what they're doing, right? They move on without Connor. Connor moves on without them, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the support is there for both ends of it. I think Connor very much is, supporting the Black Bears, and he felt comfortable enough to leave. And I think that alone was probably the biggest hurdle that he's probably faced is, I think he's wanted to move up for a while, which,
Yeah.
everybody else has been thinking it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Probably from the first season he was here was like, he's not coming back. Like, he's going to get called up. He's not coming back ever again. I've seen those comments here and there since Connor's been, part of the Binghamton Black Bears. So I think the biggest hurdle for him was feeling okay to leave, because I feel like that truly was the hardest thing to do. But I think everybody is wishing him absolutely nothing but the best. And I think, I truly think that Binghamton is going to be okay.
Yeah, 100%. I totally agree. All right. So let's get to our interview.
Ironically.
Ironically, let's get to our interview with Dominik Tmej. I think this is going to be one that people are going to love. And I do want to say that the 6 more questions on Sunday, there's a little special ending to it that he and I talked about. There's a little bit sprinkled in about his faith and what he believes in, which I know there are a lot of fans out there that really appreciate that. I believe it was Taylor Joseph that also showed his faith on the ice. And I know some people are going to be like, oh, you shouldn't be talking about that. They shouldn't be doing that, blah, 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 whatever. This is a free country. They can do whatever the hell they want. They're not hurting anybody. And that's the way I look at it. And I think it's great, and I think it's beautiful, and I'm kind of glad. So for some of the fans out there that hoping that we got into that in the meat of the potatoes of this interview, it's touched upon, and then we talk about it again on Sunday. So I just want to throw that out there because I think it's great. And the best part of hockey is the camaraderie amongst players, even players from opposing teams. And we do talk about that a little bit with Dominik. So coming up next here on the Power Play Post Show, interview with Dominik Tmej. We'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Hi, this is Don Biggs from the 92-93 Binghamton Rangers. Hi, this is Brandon Buczynski.
This is Grady Wittenberg, the voice of the Binghamton Senators, and you're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
Here is another Power Play Post Show interview exclusive with Bob Howard.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. Very excited to have this gentleman on. I know it's very ironic times with the departure of Connor McAnanama from the team, but I'm very excited to have Dominik Tmej on the show here with us. He is obviously their goaltender for the Binghamton Black Bears. Dominik, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. I know it's probably been a strange 24 hours as you and Connor probably became kind of close over these last few months. But thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's, I love talking, and I hope, wherever Connor ends up, I hope he's, he can just prove everyone what they've been missing, and then he does really well. We've become really close, and he's helped me a lot, and I hope people could also see on the ice how much I've improved ever since he's started helping me.
Oh, without a doubt. And it's been kind of nice to see the two of you guys, and even Wyatt. When we've seen Wyatt in there, it's like the Black Bears really were blessed to have 3 really outstanding goaltenders this season. And, good decision for Connor to be able to do what he wants to do, and that'll help his career. But it also kind of puts you into a new position where you're not just sharing the duties with Connor. You might be taking on a little bit more of the playing time. And how exciting is that for you?
Yeah, I try not to think about, I just want to do my best when my number gets called.
Yeah.
So it's not, I'm just, whenever I'm going to be put in the net, I want to do the best I can for the boys in front of me, as they always do for me. So, but yeah, as a goalie, you always want to play all the games. You want to play as much as you can. And yeah, like I said, I just want to be ready when my number gets called. So I'll just continue to be ready for that.
Now, I know you grew up a little bit in Florida and played some youth hockey in Florida, but you were actually from the Czech Republic. Can you talk a little bit about hockey over in the Czech Republic, even youth hockey? When did it start for you? How quickly were you on the ice? And is this like a family business? I think you do have a brother that also played hockey as well here in the States.
Yeah. So born and raised in Czech Republic. I was born in Prague, and I think I started skating at like 2, very early on. My dad played, so, always watching him and going to watch his games. We're always like the biggest fans in the stands, and that kind of, made us both interested with my brother David.
Yeah.
And then, it came time where we got opportunities to come to the States and play overseas. My brother started in Detroit, and he was there for a year alone. And, I always had like this competition with my brother, and like I wanted to go too. And, having the amazing parents that we have, they allowed us to move and pursue our hockey careers, leaving behind their business and everything, which is not something a lot of parents would do. Like, even when I try to think about it, like, I'm not sure if I would do it, which might sound bad, but like, it was a big step for them, but they allowed us to do it. And we decided to move to Florida and started playing there. And then it kind of just took me a whole bunch of different directions, kind of all over North America. But yeah, it's been a ride that I'm truly blessed for.
Now, how old were you when you did come over from the Czech Republic over and you guys, went to Bradenton, Florida?
I was 12, 13, somewhere around there.
And you had already made the decision. You told me a little bit after or before we started recording that it was about 10 years old that you decided to not play soccer or football over there and play hockey as more full-time than and whatnot. Was that an easy or a tough decision? Because I would imagine that a 10-year-old loved to play both, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my dad also played both, so I was kind of wanted to follow my dad's footsteps. So I played both, and not to pump my own tires, but I think I was a pretty good little soccer player.
Nice.
But yeah, when it came time to kind of decide, and when it was going to become harder to do both at the same time, my parents never put pressure on me to pick either or any. They would be happy with me doing anything, but I always wanted to play hockey, and so it was a pretty easy decision to decide.
And let's be honest, soccer is a lot of running in there, right? Hockey, you still have to skate hard if you're a forward or a defenseman. With a goaltender, it's a totally different element. Did your body change a little bit because you were going from probably running a ton throughout a calendar year to then just being a goalie? And I'm not saying you guys aren't athletes. I'm not saying that it's not tough to be a goalie, because it is. You're working muscles differently. Did your body kind of change a little bit from going from doing all that running that you would do during soccer practice or during soccer games to just working on what it takes to be a good goalie? If that makes sense.
I don't think it like necessarily changed that much. Obviously, like when you're that young, you're just usually skinny with like 0% body fat anyways.
True.
But yeah, I mean, obviously there was a big cardio aspect where when we did both, like you kind of never got tired on the ice. But yeah, like I don't think my body would change a lot just because we were so young.
Absolutely. Talk a little bit about hockey in Florida. I mean, because obviously you could compare it between hockey in the Czech Republic to then coming down. Obviously, you're near Tampa, and the Lightning are doing well. That obviously it's exciting down there. But what were the differences between youth hockey specifically in Tampa or in Florida versus what it was like in the Czech Republic?
I think it was a lot of, from what I can remember thinking back. Obviously, times also changed, so
Mm-hmm.
I want people to take this with a grain of salt a
Sure.
little bit. But um, the biggest difference was kind of like the personal side of things, where in Europe it's like a lot of team practices, where in the States or even in Canada it's like there's a lot of focus on like personal development as well. And that could also be with, we were young, so there wasn't really like a personal stuff to work on. But now you see everyone has like personal power skating coaches
Yeah.
and like stick handling coaches, shooting coaches. So it's like a more detail oriented. But I think like it's translating even in Europe now. I mean, you see like top players in the world are also from Europe, and it's not just U.S. and Canada anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mean, the differences are like like there's not a lot of hitting in Europe compared to the US or Canada, even in like the junior ranks. So like it's a different hockey, but I think it ultimately, I mean, you look at World Juniors, I mean,
Oh yeah.
Sweden won this year, sadly, for the Czechs, but you see a lot of these European countries being able to compete with America and Canada, even though they're playing a different style of hockey. So it just all comes down to teamwork, I think, and how well you can actually put the puck in the net and keep it out of yours.
I know I talked to Kyle Steffen a couple weeks ago, and he talked about his disappointment with World Juniors. How many guys do you think on the team were paying attention to World Juniors this year?
I think a decent amount. I know when Czech played Canada, I try to throw some chirps in the chat, but I got a couple of thumbs down emojis on those.
Oh.
But the better team won. What can we say?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I mean, you obviously watch. It's kind of crazy now. Like, I know I'm not like old or anything, but all these guys are now younger than me, and it's kind of weird watching it that like I couldn't even play in that if I wanted to. But yeah, like just how good some of these players are, and it's amazing to watch, and it's always fun to see how many of these guys are then going to make it, and you can say that you've watched them back in the day.
Now, you were obviously playing in Florida as a kid, but then there's this call that obviously leads you to major junior hockey and playing in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. Can you talk a little bit about that transformation, going from playing in the States here, and then you go up to that part of Canada to start playing major junior hockey?
Yeah, it was a step I don't think I even ever saw coming. I kind of got like scouted at like a high school playoff game, and it was kind of like, hey, come to our development camp, and it was for the Moncton Wildcats.
Yeah.
So we went, and the first practice I remember working with the goalie coach, Scotty Monroe, and he was kind of just asked me like, why are you here? And I was like, well, I'm here to make the team.
Right.
And and he was like, okay, like, whoa. Cause they already had 2 guys signed, but he loved my confidence and what I did on the ice. So then I got invited to the rookie camp, made it all the way to the main camp. But again, they already had 2 goalies signed. So I got sent down to Springfield Picks, in the USPHL.
Mm-hmm.
And then after like a month and a half or something like that, they decided to move away from their starter, and they called me. And yeah, I got to go up there. I had a pretty good first game, and then obviously the team decided to rebuild, so that became a tough year after that. But yeah, it was a great competition. I got to learn a lot about myself and got to compare myself with, guys that are, some of them are captains in the NHL now. So it's for sure been a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great league to play in. Now, it's probably not the most famous of the three major junior leagues, but there's a gentleman named Mike Hoffman who came to Binghamton to play for the Binghamton Senators. I gave him his first professional interview up in the press box, which was kind of great. And I think you are literally the second guy from the Q that I've interviewed. I'd have to go back, but I'm pretty sure, because I usually look at all the stats and where players come from. But I think you're the second guy in my career who played in the Q. And, again, it's up in the Maritimes and, the eastern part of Canada. But there's so much competitive hockey and hockey players that are playing in the Q. Are you, when you look back at it, do you go like, wow, I played up in the Q, I played in, major junior hockey, and that's a pretty big accomplishment.
Yeah, I think, it's like one of the claims to fame for me, probably. But, I think looking back at the whole time there, I think I would have done some things differently. I don't think, I kind of thought I had it made and I didn't have to work hard when I got there. But yeah, just even like looking around the NHL now and seeing like, I played against Nico Hischier.
Yep.
My first game was against Pierre-Luc Dubois. I played against Alex Lafreniere. So it's like all these guys you get to play against that are like household names in the NHL now. And it's just been cool to like, even games where I wasn't playing, you're kind of looking around like, wow, like, I played in Quebec a little bit and we had like 9,000 people come for a Wednesday game. And, it was an amazing time. And, yeah, it was great.
So basically, a sellout in Binghamton is just old hat for you because you've seen those type of crowds before. Not every guy on the Black Bears, when they played junior hockey or when they played in college, have come to Binghamton, and a lot of them didn't get to play in front of crowds like that. You have, so there's a comfortability there for you, right? A large crowd chanting your name or cheering for the team doesn't get into your head at all because you're used to it.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I try not to overthink big crowds. At the end of the game, it's just a hockey game we're playing. But yeah, it's always so much fun when a lot of people come to support you, even away games.
Sure.
At home you get to excite people, and away you get to disappoint people, and they both bring some extra into your game.
Now you went from obviously playing in the Q and you started playing in junior A hockey with the Summerside. Can you talk a little bit about that decision? It seems like to me, if I just looking at the stats, superficially, looking at the stats, looks like it was a very good decision for you to make that change.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it was necessarily my change, my choice.
Okay.
I kind of got, sent down because, I was in Bathurst and they decided to bring another goalie, and I was kind of the odd man out. So, I went down, and yeah, it was just a humbling experience. And like I mentioned before, when looking back, I wish I would have changed some things in how I not only just carried myself, but how much I cared about getting better. That was one of the, getting sent down kind of woke up something inside of me. I was like, okay, I'm not as good as I think I am. I gotta, if I want to still make it somewhere, I gotta step it up here. And yeah, I came to Summerside, and it was a great situation for me. I kind of, got to come in and get to play a lot of games. The team was very good, and made some unforgettable memories and some friends for life that I actually later got to play with in college too. So, yeah, for sure, it sucked getting sent down, but I'm really glad that I did.
But you made the best of it, and I'm going to guess you learned some things about yourself, like you said. But that 2018-2019 team seemed to just really be really good, and you guys went deep in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, but all the years that we were there were kind of made it to the semifinals. And then the last year where we were so good, but the day before the first playoff game, we kind of got shut down for COVID, and that was it. So we didn't really get to even push for the championships that we all wanted.
How disappointing is that, though? I mean, is that something you look back at and you're like, man, I really wish we just had that chance, that ability to go for that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was disappointing, but it's kind of a, what if, if I would have saved a couple more pucks, I could have, also be in the NHL. So it's always tougher to look back at things. But it's just something that happened. I think, if anything, it made us all closer, having to experience it all together over there. And yeah, I mean, it sucked, but everyone kind of lived through it. I'm sure we weren't the only team who got their chances, that didn't even get a chance to win a championship. So we weren't the only ones. And yeah, we all kind of moved on from it. And then we got to, with some of the guys, we got to push for more championships elsewhere.
Now, Dom, obviously fans here in Binghamton have seen you after games go to the center part of the ice, kneel down. Obviously, you're very strong with your faith, and I think that probably led you to Briarcrest College, which I believe is a Christian college, if I remember reading correctly. Was the decision easy to go to college and go to that particular college? Were there a couple different colleges in mind for you, or did they recruit you? How did it come about that you went there?
I actually wasn't a Christian at all until I got to college.
Really?
And in my second or third year. Yeah. I never grew up with faith. But again, looking for a college or university to go to during COVID wasn't the easiest thing.
No.
So yeah, I had a couple of schools like U Sports, which is like the high university level in Canada, but they then decided to make their positions a tryout, and I was like, well, I don't want to go there and then possibly not make it, and then I'm committed to the school. And then Briarcrest kind of, they were like, hey, we need a goalie, and I just told them, I'm coming. I just want to play hockey, and I'll figure out the school on top of it. And then it led me to discovering, and giving my life away to Jesus. And that's probably been the best decision of my life.
And that happened while you were in school. You see, I talk about this all the time with players and with people, that sometimes there are certain parts of your life that happen for a reason. And I don't want to say that maybe you were lost before going to Briarcrest, but do you think that you found your way when you got there because you did kind of, find your faith?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. You're always kind of looking for something in your life, I feel like. And ever since, I got there, my life kind of felt different, and I didn't necessarily know what it was until my second or third year, where I decided to, I want to say pick up faith, but be more faithful, and then eventually giving my life away to Jesus. And then my life changed since then tremendously. I have no bad days now. I feel I always feel so much love from my Heavenly Father. And, I get to win or lose. I always know that I'm loved no matter what. So it's for sure changed my life, and it made my life so much better.
And you're probably, I know this is a general statement, but you're just a happier person now too, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like I said, there's, no bad days, and I feel like nothing bothers me anymore, because I can always, if something bothers me, I get to just pray about it and kind of give it to God and know that He'll take care of it for me. And I don't have to worry about a thing.
Which is great, because not enough people probably have that in their lives. And I think more and more people, I think this world would be a better place if a lot more people just had that in their lives, no matter what it is and who it's with. But just having it would make people a lot happier in this world. We kind of joked a little bit off air about how you've been a little bit everywhere, right? Grew up in Europe, then Florida, then the eastern part of Canada, the midwestern part of Canada, and now here in upstate New York. Do you think I don't want to say world traveler, but do you think that you've learned a lot about the world because you have spent a considerable amount of time in different places? And do you think that's kind of helped you become part of the person that you are today as well?
Yeah, I'd say so, maybe a little bit. Like, kind of everywhere you go, you meet different people, and you meet people that are really nice, and you can meet people that are not so very nice, and you get the kind of craft of like who you want to be. Especially when I was moving these places, I was still like growing up, so I really got to shape who I am based on what I saw around me, and yeah, I mean, I've had some amazing role models around me for most of my life. I mean, starting with my parents and then all the coaches that I've had, they've, most of them really transformed not just me as a hockey player, but me as a person. And then, obviously God's transformed me even further. But yeah, I mean, everywhere you go, you get to learn from something or someone. So I would encourage all the people to, everywhere they go, to learn and try to, make themselves into the best possible person that they can be.
Now, you talked a little bit earlier about Ivan Bondarenko, and you listened to the podcast and kind of heard his story. And he came over here by himself, right? And his family stayed in Russia. Did you guys bond a little bit because you guys have similar stories in that sense, but your parents did come over? But in some cases for their children, for you and David to be able to play hockey maybe at a higher level than maybe over in the Czech Republic. I don't know that situation completely, but again, there is a similarity there between you and Ivan. He's a little bit older, but you guys kind of do share that little bit of same type of story almost.
Yeah, I mean, the Euros stick together.
Yeah.
But no, I think, anyone can bond with Bondo because he's just such a down-to-earth guy and such an amazing person. And yeah, I think compared to his journey, like I think mine was so much easier because I had my parents to always lean on. They were always with me.
Yeah. And
he did it all by himself. And huge props to him for doing that. And yeah, he's one of the greatest humans being I've ever met.
I totally believe that. Now, you told me that you almost didn't know if hockey was going to continue for you after Briarcrest College, that you were looking at possible teams in Europe. You get a call, a tryout with the Norfolk Admirals in ECHL. And you didn't know if anything was going to stick before you got a text from Brant Sherwood. Can you tell the fans a little bit of that story?
Yeah. So after college, I kind of had a little intel or opportunity that I could play for a team in Europe in the Czech league, in the Czech second biggest league. And so I went over there, kind of pretty much moved my life, kind of, I don't want to say expecting, but like very highly hoping that I was going to make it. And I was there since June, some rigorous training and got all the way to like I think it was towards end of September, and nothing was kind of moving along. Their season started, and I still didn't hear anything. So I was kind of in a bad spot. And I remember one night kind of just praying, like, God, can you just show me the path you want for me? Whatever it is, like, I just want kind of like a sign so I know that my life's moving somewhere. And the same night at like 3 a.m, I got a text from my agent that I have a possibility of a PTO in Norfolk. And so I decided, like, again, I'm going. And again, I still, like, being in Czech, I was thinking about just quitting hockey because I wasn't having fun. I was, I felt like, if it's not going to go anywhere, I might as well just get a job and, try to settle down and make something of myself. And this kind of gave me an opportunity, and I went into it knowing that I'm only there until one of their guys from the AHL gets sent down. But at that point, I was kind of like, if this is it, like, it'll be a great story. I can still say that I did it. And so I went over there. I had a pretty good camp, I think. And the coaches, from what they said, they liked me, but their hands were kind of tied no matter what. So I left one day at like 2 p.m. and by 4:30 on my drive home to Florida, I get a text from Brant Sherwood and, about, like, Binghamton Black Bears and FPHL and how would I feel about the opportunity coming in. And then we had a quick phone call. And
wait, you say a quick phone call? No phone call with Brant Sherwood that I've ever heard with a player has ever been quick. But it was definitely a short one with Brant.
Short one, sort of. Yeah, we both talked a lot, but it felt short. Just listening to how great of an organization this is, and, like, I say short probably mostly because within the first 2 minutes, my mind was kind of made up.
Yeah.
Just from the way Brant was talking about, everybody on the team and the management, the owner, like, the arena, everything that, we're blessed with in the locker room now. So it was kind of a easy decision, and one that, I will never probably regret for the rest of my life. And I'm so happy to be part of all this and to have met all these guys on the team.
Now, you also told me a little bit of a funny story, and I'm not surprised by this because Les Sirota is friends with everybody in the hockey world. But you didn't know initially because that you would be joining a team with Zach Sirota, whose father is Les, and you are friends with Les Sirota, who was a goalie in his playing days. He was a goalie, and I think he looks for and seeks out all the goalies that are playing in the world and becomes friends with them on Facebook. But you were seeing stuff about the Black Bears last year's championship because Les was obviously, reposting things and whatnot. So you kind of had a little bit of like this is the Binghamton Black Bears that I keep seeing on my Facebook feed, and I don't know why.
Yeah. Like it looking back, it was like I don't want to call it the weirdest thing, but, like, I remember over the summer being on Facebook and seeing this video, like, shared like 5 times. And it was Zach Sirota scoring. I think it was the championship clinching goal, if I'm correct.
He scored it. Yep.
Yeah. And then, you see all the fans, and I was like, what is this? Like, where is this? And, like, I'm pretty sure I looked it up and everything, and never knowing that is where I was going to end up. But it's such a, like, I just think it's a funny story that, I've had Zach's dad on my Facebook for however long now. I don't even know. It could have been 20 years. But yeah, it's a funny story, but I guess you can also say that, God's been giving me the signs to come here all this time.
Absolutely. I totally believe that. Can you talk a little bit about coming into camp, what was it like at first to be here, and especially when you got to meet the goaltenders that were here as well?
Well, I didn't come for camp. I came after. You mean like in Binghamton, right?
Yeah, when you got to Binghamton here, because you weren't here for camp.
Yeah, I came, I think, after the first 4 games.
Yep.
And I knew coming in, like, obviously, like every hockey player does, you look up everyone on the team, elite prospects.
Yep.
Kind of what am I going into, and you see C-Mac, and you're kind of like, whoa, like this is a real guy. Like, you look at his stats and playoff MVP. He had seemed like he had a shutout every game in the playoffs, and I was like, all right, so the competition's gonna be pretty tough. And Wyatt was at the East Coast camp too.
Yeah.
And so I knew it was gonna be a challenge coming here, but if I like a good challenge, and I wanted to prove myself. So
talk a little bit about this team this year, what you've seen in front of you. Obviously you and C-Mac have played really, really well. But the team in front of you guys have played pretty well too. What do you see in front of you when it comes to the Binghamton Black Bears, the defense and the forwards?
Well, I think, being a goalie is just a reflection of how the team's doing. So if I'm doing well, that means, or if C-Mac's doing well, if his Wyatt's doing well, it's just a reflection of how well the team's doing, how we're doing defensively. And the amount of talent on this team is truly amazing. And I'm just so blessed every day, going to practice, and you have, CJ Stubbs shooting at you, and he's leading the league in points. You have, Bondo's passing it to CJ. You have Tyson Kirkby screening me, trying to tip pucks. And it's I can only get better being here with these guys.
Right.
So it's truly been a blessing. And I truly believe that, all 3 of us, we could have been starters on any team in this league. I truly, truly believe that. I think, C-Mac's accolades speak for themselves, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
You can probably call him an FPHL legend at this point. And, I think Wyatt's a tremendous goalie. You get to see him in practice, and he's always working on his craft. We always ask each other questions, even with C-Mac. We're trying to bouncing ideas off each other. So, it's a great spot to be for me personally, and I think for anyone coming in, it would be an amazing spot. But I always think it's also, kind of being a goalie, knowing that your team can put up 9 goals every game. You get to go into every game being loose. That if I don't have my A game, if I bring my B game today, I know the boys are just going to have my back. And then I try to be the guy who, if maybe, we're off to a slow start, I want to be the reason why we're still in the game.
Yeah. Let's talk about that one game, right? Because you've won, I believe it is now 10, 11 in a row. But that one game, November 14th against the Athens Rock Lobsters, the only game you've given up 4 goals. It's the one loss. What can you take from that loss? What can you take from that performance? It's only 4 goals. It's not like you gave up a 6 spot or, anything like that. But talk a little bit about what you can learn from a loss like that helps you then propel another 11 wins.
Yeah, I mean, just that game was a huge learning experience for me. Giving up 4 goals falls below my standard. Mm-hmm. I think, if I want to help my team win a game, I can't allow 4 goals. But yeah, it was just after that game happened, and I also remember I was healthy scratch for the next game.
Yep.
So like there's a like argument to be made. If we won that game, I probably could have been scratched too. You know, you never know. But it kind of left a sour feeling in me, and I was like, all right, like today's the day that things change, and you know, I need to work on my craft more. I need to figure out ways how to be better, how to become a better skater, track the puck better. Like today's the day where I'm figuring it out. Cause I was mad, not at anyone particularly, mostly at myself that I wasn't good enough, but I was like, it ends here. And now, you know, I want to like really improve my game and be on top of my game as much as I can. And yeah, I mean, at the same time, wins and losses also happen. The whole point of hockey is for me to get scored on for the other team. So like, you know, my world wasn't coming to an end, but it was a good thing for me to happen early, I think. And yeah, I mean, now I don't ever want to lose a game, but if it does happen, I know that only positives can come out of it. Yeah,
you can learn from it and then move on. My co-host Taylor has a slight request. You've now had 7 one-goal games. She'd like a shutout from you. That would be really nice. You've been so close. You've been so close now to getting that first shutout. Is it something you think about, or is it not matter as long as you guys win?
I mean, obviously, I think it would be nice. You know, I kind of joked with Bondo the other day that maybe now if he scores a goal, I finally get my shutout. That's kind of where we are at right now.
Well, we've joked about that too, about Bondo getting a goal again, because it's been almost a month and a half now since Bondo's had a goal, and he's doing phenomenal. He's got a 22 game point streak going, which is great. He's gotten a ton of assists, but we want to give him that goal too. So we want you to get the shutout and him to get the goal.
Yeah, and he's gonna get it. I mean, again, he's, you know, he doesn't care if he scores. He just wants to win, and he's a competitor. But I kind of, you know, shutouts are nice, and it's a nice accolade to have. But I think ultimately what matters is the win column. And, you know, as much as, you know, I don't want to give up any goals, you know, if we win, you know, 7-6, I don't care. Like, as long as, you know, we won. Obviously, like I said before, I hold myself to a high standard. We're getting scored on. But sometimes, you know, you have bad games, but, you know, even in 7-6 games, you can make that one save that wins you the game. So
absolutely,
I think winning is the most important thing for me, especially like looking around the locker room at the guys we have here. I want to win for them. I never want to win for myself. It's for all the guys around me, because they deserve the best, and I always want to give them the best.
You know, before I let you go, I want to just kind of like make a statement, get your thoughts on this statement. 5 years ago, when the Black Bears came into fruition, the FPHL was known for this rough and tumble kind of league. And then today I'm talking with you. You played in Major Junior. Kyle Steffen, who I talked to last week, played D1 hockey. And you guys have a coach, John Quenville, who played 42 games in the NHL. It's a pretty impressive list of players to be players and or a coach that are now working together in single A hockey, and everybody's trying to improve themselves to kind of move up. What are your thoughts on, number one, John Quenville, 42 games, you know, and then you have someone like Kyle Steffen, who played D1 hockey as well, all on this team with you, and you played in Major Junior.
I mean, you know, anytime you can have someone on the team with NHL experience, it doesn't matter if it's 1,000 games or one game. At the end of the day, they played there, right? They know what it takes to get into the league, and to even like Coach Q played in high leagues in Europe, which are not easy to get into. So he has a good hockey brain. He, he usually lights me up in practice too.
Does he?
Yeah. The thing is, I feel like when I sometimes save him, then he gets mad and he really wants to score. And then, but no, he's been great addition for our team. I think obviously I wasn't here years prior, but just seeing him, with his inputs, and I think Coach Sherwood's right up there too. He played in the Coast. He's got some games under his belt, but he's a great hockey mind. Kyle, again, he knows how to score. He can throw big hits. He can kind of do it all. But you also have guys, Janny or CJ Stubbs. These guys are champions, right? They know what it takes to win. Most of this locker rooms are champions. So they know what it takes to win. So I think having a group like this is, for me personally, it's been really big, just knowing, what it takes to win a championship. But just having them as leaders, just truly, it's just amazing. I can't even put it into words, because you kind of would have you have to be there to see it. But yeah, it's just making everyone so much better, with our coaching staff and the talent that we have on this team. And, even Aiden, our equipment managers, everything's working so well where you just get to focus on hockey, and it just, brings everyone compete level up. It's all trickles down from up top all the way down. And yeah, it's just, I can't say enough about this organization. I could go on and on.
Yeah, no, I can tell. Last question. I asked this after January 1st to all the guys that come on the show. What is the goal for you guys this season?
Win a championship.
That's it.
There isn't anything else.
There isn't anything else. That's the right answer. It's the right answer. Dominik, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it. Good luck this upcoming weekend. I know you guys got 2 games against the Watertown Wolves. Not that you guys have ever seen the Watertown Wolves this season. It's been too many times, if you ask me, but that's just me. But good luck this weekend against the Wolves. I'm sure we'll probably see you, if not in both games, but in at least one of them, and maybe Wyatt in another game as well. It'd be great to see Wyatt get back into a game, because I know he's been sitting kind of watching and practicing with you guys, so it'll be great. But thank you very much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. And God bless, and go Black Bears.
And we'll be right back right after this, right here on the Power Play Post Show.
If you're a Binghamton hockey fan, then you need to check out binghamtonhockey.net for all your news, stats, information, the Binghamton Hockey Hall of Fame, top 10 lists, profiles, and so much more. That's binghamtonhockey.net. You're listening to the Power Play Post Show.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Power Play Post Show. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Dominik Tmej. We got a little bit more with him on Sunday's weekend wrap-up show right here on the Power Play Post Show when he answers 6 more questions. Taylor, hey, my favorite part of any show, we get to talk about playing against the Watertown Wolves.
Yet again. And only, 6 more times after this too? Or...
It's actually 5 after these 2, but after
that was close.
After Friday's game, it'll be 6 more times in a row up against the Watertown Wolves in Watertown.
So we're previewing another home-and-home series versus the Watertown Wolves. This is the 4th weekend this year where the Black Bears and Wolves will play a home-and-home series against each other. This Friday, the Black Bears will host the Wolves for the final time this season. Though the two teams will still have 6 more games versus each other up in Watertown, which will include Saturday night. So we have, 17 games against them. 13 of them are in Watertown.
That cracks me up. You're unhappy about it, and you actually make the trip up to Watertown to see these guys play up there.
Watertown's not a bad arena to go to.
Yeah.
Danbury seems more exciting, but maybe it's just because you're so cold that you can't really do anything else.
You can't take a nap there because you're so cold, right?
Yeah, I warn people, if you're going to Danbury, bundle up. I mean, even the coaches are wearing winter gloves on the bench, which I don't see anywhere else, to be honest.
I was just going to say, so you would recommend if someone was going to Danbury, it's so cold in there, wear gloves.
Oh, 100%.
Gotcha.
Full on, you're going to a Buffalo Bills game in December. That's what you're dressing like to go to Danbury.
Well, let me ask you a question. I know that you will wear a jersey. You usually have some sort of sweatshirt underneath. And then, of course, I think a shirt underneath that. Do you wear all 3 layers there? Because sometimes in Binghamton, you don't wear all 3 layers.
No, I hardly ever wear a sweatshirt in Binghamton. Danbury is probably the only arena that I've gone to where I wish I wore more clothing.
All right. So
I usually get very heated during the game to the point where the sweatshirt's coming off and it's just going to be the jersey and t-shirt, whatever.
Yeah.
Even in Binghamton, I'll walk to the arena because it's cold. But as soon as I get inside, I'm I'm hot. I'm ready to not wear a sweatshirt anymore. Not in Danbury. You come in from outside and you're I'm going back outside. Even in the wind.
It's warmer outside than it is on the inside. All right, let's carry on.
You can see your breath in Danbury, so that's, take that as you will.
All right. Let's keep going.
The last time the two teams played was on January 2nd and 3rd of 26, with the Wolves breaking the 15-game win streak on Friday, with Friday the 2nd by a score of 4-3. In that game, the Black Bears had a 3-1 lead after 40 minutes of play. However, the Wolves got a goal from Hunter Hall and Igor Filipov, tied the game, and then Yefim Mishkin scored the game winner at 5:04 left to go in the game for the game winner. Coincidentally, this was the last Black Bears game that Connor McAnanama played as a Black Bear.
Isn't that crazy, though? When I was looking at this and I was like, well, I mean, I'm not going to not bring it up. I mean, I guess we could have not brought it up, but that was the last game for Connor with all the wins, 61 wins in his career with the Black Bears. At this point right now, the last game he played in was unfortunately a 4-3 loss.
Yeah, I'm sure there are people, those negative Nancy's out there that you can sometimes come across that even with the record that Connor has, would be like, oh, well, he, lost that game and broke their record. He wanted out.
No, that's not the case at all. That is if people think that's stupidity, it is the fact that his last game with the Black Bear was a loss.
Which is unfortunate, but,
yes.
It's going to happen even to the Black Bears.
Yes.
It maybe a little unfortunate it was the Watertown Wolves because we have to face them so many times, but it happens.
No, of course it had to be against the Wolves because we play against them so many times.
I guess they were just finally sick to losing to us. Maybe that's why Carolina you got me doing it. Twin City, was trying to up the ante and, get some heavy hitting going on. I'm sure they were just finally sick and tired of losing to us.
Well, I'm sure they are. I mean, if you think about it, I don't know the last time. I got to look up the whole Danbury numbers now because Danbury hasn't beat us yet this year. I think we're 9-0 against Danbury this year, and there's still 6 or 7 more games against them. I think we played them 16 times. I think we played them 9 times, and we've beat them. I got to go back into the last year as well and see when the last time we lost to Danbury. I know we lost to them once last year. Right. But there's a long streak there, too. So so Twin City, long streak, double digits. Carolina, Watertown, it was 15 games. Danbury, it could be 14, 15, 16 games as well at this point.
No, so they're going to be the next team that's going to be, wanting to break our win streak.
Yep.
I'm sure it'll eventually happen, whether it's this season, next season, I don't really know. Just, I think I think Watertown, honestly, has gotten better as the season's gone on. I do think that they actually are better than Danbury, and I actually think they're beating them in the standings, if I remember correctly. I think they finally got ahead of Danbury in the standings last I had looked.
Watertown? I think they're 5th.
I think so.
Is Danbury 6th in the division right now? Yeah, that would make sense because you have Topeka and then Blue Ridge ahead of them. So yeah, you're right. Danbury's ahead of Watertown.
No, shouldn't it be?
Oh no, Watertown's ahead of Danbury. And then,
yes. And then Danbury is 6th, and the Sentinels are 7th. So Watertown is 5th. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
I forgot the list. The Black Bears started a new winning streak on the 3rd. So, the second and third. Wow, I'm struggling.
That's okay.
So we lost on the 2nd. And
then we started a new winning streak on the 3rd
to start your new year. But then we started it right back up. So Saturday, winning that game 8-3. Last weekend, the Black Bears won both games in Winston-Salem over the Twin City Thunderbirds, 3-1 on Friday, and then 4-1 on Saturday. For the Wolves, last weekend, they split 2 games with Danbury hat tricks. I guess if we had just read a little bit further, we could have realized they were, ahead of the standings.
Yep.
Losing in overtime on Friday night 5-4, and then winning on Saturday night 8-5. That's, I think, probably one of their highest scoring games of the season.
Easily.
Both of these games were played in the chilly. See, you were prepared. Chilly Danbury Ice Arena.
I wanted to see if you noticed that.
This will be the 11th and 12th games being played between the Black Bears and the Wolves. The Black Bears are 9-1-0 versus the Wolves this season going into this weekend.
All right, the Black Bears are 27-3-0 through 30 games and have earned 79 points. Good for first in the Empire Division. They have scored 160 goals and only allowed 69. No jokes from the peanut gallery. The Wolves are 11-15-3 for 34 points, and they are currently sitting outside of the playoff spot in 5th place. This season, they have scored 105 goals, but allowed 138 goals. Okay, the Black Bears are led by CJ Stubbs in 30 games played, which the Black Bears have like 4 or 5 players that have played all 30 games this season, which is pretty impressive. But CJ Stubbs, 30 games played, 23 goals, 36 assists for 59 points. Obviously so close to getting to 60 points. Probably be the first player this year to do that. 8 power play goals, 1 shorthanded goal, and 8 game-winning goals. Ivan Bondarenko, 30 games played, 7 goals, 44 assists, 51 points, 1 power play goal. By the way, I do want to throw in there, because you're going to love this. I had a conversation with Dominik, and it is in the interview. I believe it's in the interview. I hope it's in the interview. I'm pretty sure it's in the interview. We talked about how we really want you to, or you had mentioned that you really want him to get a shutout because he's had 6 games this season, only giving up 1 goal. So he's been so close to getting that shutout. And then he turned around and said, well, we're really hoping that Bondo scores again. So it was just a great thing, because obviously you've made that comment as well. It's like, we really want Ivan to get another goal again. So look for that in the interview. It's a great moment there. All right, Gavin Yates, 27 games played, 20 goals, 27 assists for 47 points, 8 power play goals, and 1 game-winning goal. And Dominik Tmej, 13-1-0, 1.93 goals against average, best in the league, and a .930 save percentage. The Wolves are led by Stephen Klink, who I don't think has played the last few games. I don't know what's going on with him. He's not on the injured reserve, but he's been on the bench. Not looking like he's enjoying being on the bench, as in a suit and tie, but 24 games played, 21 goals, 20 assists, 41 points. He's not on the IR. 4 power play goals, 2 game-winning goals. We'll see if he gets into these games this weekend. Igor Filipov, 26 games played, 16 goals, 22 assists for 38 points, 4 power play goals, 1 game-winning goal. Darian Benchik, 27 games played, 8 goals, 20 assists for 28 points, 1 game-winning goal. And Brendan Colgan, I guess it's a toss-up between him and Matt Lenz, but Colgan has played the majority of the games for the Wolves. He's 6-10-3 with a 4.6 goals against average and an .879 save percentage. Easily the worst numbers of his career. And he's had a really good career in the FPHL, Taylor. And these are the worst numbers he's ever had.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because when he was with
especially because I think like the Wolves are getting better. I don't know what his numbers were like in the beginning of the season to see if he's getting better or if he's getting worse, honestly.
I think the numbers have gotten worse. His numbers have gotten worse when they've gotten a little bit better, which is kind of crazy. But either way, specialty team-wise, Binghamton power plays ranked first. Shocker, 49 power play goals, 28%. Penalty kills ranked first, 13 power play goals against, 91%. Watertown power plays ranked ninth, 22 power play goals, 19%. Penalty kill ranked 12th, 35 power play goals against, and a 77% kill rate. Give me your thoughts on these two games. Which game does Wyatt Freelander get a start in, at home or away? And does the Black Bears get both wins?
I truthfully, I think it's a toss-up on, which goaltender gets to start. I think you could play Wyatt either game. I know he's had a win up in Watertown. I don't remember which two wins he's had, honestly, because I don't remember the last time he played. It's been a while. I'm so excited to kind of see him come out.
Yeah.
And truthfully, we have three great goaltenders. I mean, with McAnanama, Tmej, and then Wyatt, all super nice guys. All of them are fantastic. I honestly, for me, I would throw any one of them out there to play a game, and you could probably bet that the Black Bears are going to win, because that's just the mindset, is that they don't want to lose a game. I feel like I'd put Wyatt in on Friday because it's a home game and it's fairly easier to play at home.
Okay.
Plus, it looks like it's going to be a sellout crowd. I mean, it was like, I don't know, quite a few days ago, somebody had posted that there's not many tickets left for Friday.
Yep. I believe it's going to be a sellout. I agree.
So it'd be nice to kind of see him, in a sellout crowd. But at the same time, if you put Tmej in there, maybe he gets a shutout in front of a sellout crowd. So, I mean, really, flip a coin. I do think they have the ability to win both games. We've got a full roster. I think the only other thing that could happen that would be very exciting, aside from, Bondarenko getting a goal, is if Laughlin gets one.
Oh, there you go. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Totally agree with you on that. Here's what I'm going to tell you. Your memory does serve you well. He did get a win up in Watertown. It was the second game of the season on a Saturday night. And he saved 25 of 28 shots for the win. The second game that he won was on November 7th. It was against the Indiana Sentinels, and he only saw 14 shots, but he saved 13 of those. So he only gave up one goal in that game with a .929 save percentage, and that was his second win. So do we see the second win sometime this weekend? I guess we're going to find out, folks. Thank you very much for listening. We definitely appreciate it. The Power Play Post Show is available on all major podcast platforms, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, YouTube, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. See, I can get through that without screwing that up. Join the conversation on Facebook, search Power Play Post Show, and become part of our community. Looking for everything Binghamton Hockey, visit binghamtonhockey.net. Thank you to Rob Lepolis, our MC, John Petitucci, our musical director, and from the Binghamton Black Bears netminder, Dominik Tmej. I am Bob Howard. She is
Taylor Welch.
And we'll talk to you guys on Sunday when we do the wrap-up show right here on the Power Play Post Show.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Power Play Post Show. Be sure to tune in next week to the Box Studios Radio Network for all the latest Black Bears news and interviews from around minor league hockey. The Power Play Post Show would like to thank John Patitucci for all the music you hear on the show. You've been listening to the Power Play Post Show.